Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions, anybody? Nope. Diwali is next Thursday. So, what are the days that there is a holiday? Anybody knows? When are the holidays next week?
Sir, from Thursday only. Thursday,
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. And then we have one more week of classes after that. Is that correct? Till Friday?
Yes, sir. 4 days. 11, 12, 13, 14. No, 1 week, sir. Total 1 week.
Yeah, till Friday.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have 3 classes this week, 2 classes next week, and 3 classes after that. Is that correct? 8 classes. Okay. So we'll cover one more topic today based on trees, which is boosting. So in the last class we had covered bagging and what else? एक चीज और कवर करी थी ना हमने, क्या नाम है उसका?
Random forest.
Random forest.
Random forests. Today we are going to cover another technique which is a modification of trees, which is boosting. Okay. So what do we do in this case? So we'll talk only about regression, not about classification, because classification involves a lot more uh, mathematics and it's more intricate. So we'll just talk about regression for now in boosting. Okay. Okay. So what do? We have a data set. We have a set of xi's which are vectors and an output yi which is a scalar quantity. Okay. So you have your data set which contains multiple I belongs to 1, 2 until n. Okay. Now so instead of till now we whatever trees that we have built on the whole data set. Okay, xi and yi. Okay, even when we were doing random forest or we were doing bagging or anything like that, our whole data set was important in each tree. Okay, but in this case what we are going to do is that we are going to build the tree. So in case of boosting we will build our tree incrementally. Trees incrementally. That means that your the new tree that you build, okay, is going to be based on the tree that you have previously built. Okay. So if I were to write down the algorithm from the book, let me write that down for building this particular tree is, so we start with our new tree fx is equal to 0. Okay, that is your initial condition, and we are, this is equal to yi. These are your residuals. Okay, what is the residual? Any idea what residual might be? Anybody? We have done this previously. What is the residual? I don't know whether we have used this term, but residual is whatever remains. So if you choose your initial tree or initial function to be 0, what is the residual going to be? How much are you away from your output, from your true output? Dipanshu, are you there? Yashwardhan?
Yes, sir. Can you repeat the question?
My question is that if I choose my estimate to be 0, how far am I from the true output? क्या होगा मेरा true output? The true output is yi, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
How far am I?
Yi.
yi. So that is what I have done. Okay, so this is residual is how far am I from my true output. True outputs are yi, and f hat xi is your estimate. Okay, so residual is, in this case, it's going initially when you choose f hat x equal to 0, then obviously your residuals are going to be equal to yi, because you're predicting 0 for everything. Okay, so these are your residuals. Now the second step, so this is your initial condition. Okay, the second step is going to be, again we are going to have a for loop. B is equal to 1, 2. Again we are using the same number of trees, which is the capital B. Okay, capital B is the total number of trees that you're going to build. So we are writing a pseudo code for loop. So please fit a tree f hat b x. Okay, so first we are going to build f hat 1 x. Okay, and with d splits. So if I have d binary splits, how many terminal nodes will I have? Any idea? Anybody? If I have d binary splits, okay, I did divide my data set again and again into d splits. D is the total number of splits. How many total number of terminal nodes or leaves will I have? Anybody?
Sir, 2 to the power n.
Huh?
Sir, 2 to the power n.
2 to the power m. M.
Sir, n.
N. कैसे?
Sir, we are recursively dividing the node n, and sir means the height of the tree, decision tree will be
2 to the power n तो नहीं हो सकता. Means in the best case it might be log n. 2 to the power n कैसे हो जाएगा?
Sir, आपने leaves पूछा ना, तो sir leaves means if the height is n, then the number of nodes or the leaves will be 2 to the power n.
No, why will the height be n? Height is going to be log n, no? N is the total number of data points. तो height तो log n होगी ना?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, if there are, sir, I assume that you said that height is n. Then I said the number of leaf nodes will be 2 to the power n.
No, but that is not, means n is nothing. We are only talking about d splits. There are d splits of my data. So in the worst case scenario or best case scenario, whatever you want to call it, if you had n data points and you divide your data set into a tree, okay, is with as many leaf nodes as possible. What is the maximum number of leaf nodes you can have? Who was saying? Vivek tha ya kaun? Yashwardhan?
Yes, sir.
Vivek, yeah. Yes. So how many total leaves would you have if your data set contains n points? N. Okay, n is the maximum number of leaves that you can have. You cannot have leaves more than that. Okay, because every leaf should contain at least 1 point. Okay, so the maximum number of leaves that you can have is obviously n. Okay, so you are right. If n was the height, then you will have 2 to the power n, which will be equal to n in this particular scenario. ठीक है ना? Total number of points.
Yes.
You are right. Okay.
Yes.
So, but we are not doing that. We are only allowing for d splits. The maximum number of splits, not the maximum, it is a fixed number. Okay, I am going to split each time a tree is going to be built. I'll have only d splits. So how many leaf nodes will I have if I have d splits? I am only dividing my tree d times. How many leaf nodes will I have? How many terminal nodes or leaves? बताओ भाई. So if I start with this point, ठीक है,
2 into n minus 1
2
into d minus 1, sorry.
2 into d minus 1. Why do you say that? So if I have, let us say my d is equal to 4. Let us say that. Okay, let us take an example because it's very difficult to visualize it in an abstract sense. So if I have d is equal to 4, so I'll have only 4 splits. So how many? So this is one split. ठीक है, एक split हमने यहाँ पे किया, दूसरा split हमने यहाँ पे किया, तीसरा split हमने यहाँ पे कर दिया. ठीक है? Till now we have how many splits? 3 splits हो चुके हैं ना? 1, 2 and 3. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Now we do one more split. Okay, one more split is allowed. Only 4 splits are allowed. Okay, so how many leaf nodes will you have?
D plus
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you will always have d plus 1 splits. Sorry, d plus 1 leaf nodes. So d splits lead to d plus 1 leaves. Okay, is that all right? Anybody wants to counter or have a doubt? ठीक है? We could do a mathematical proof, means possibly I could possibly do it, but I don't want to go into that much of a detail because it's not really that important. Okay, if you have d splits, you will have d plus 1 leaves. So you will fit a tree with this, and then next thing you're going to do, how will you fit? Means what will you try to reduce? हम किस चीज को reduce करने की कोशिश करेंगे? Anybody? When we are trying to fit a tree, we are trying to create splits. What are we trying to reduce in this particular case? We usually minimize something, no? When we are trying to train a model, what will we minimize in this particular case? Come on, yaar.
bias.
Bias is all right, but which mathematical quantity which is written on the board are you going to try to reduce?
The residual.
Residual. Okay, so we'll fit minimizing the residual at each stage. Okay, minimizing the sum of residuals or whatever you want to call it. Okay, what you're trying to minimize your residuals. Now, the next thing you're going to do is that you are going to update your tree. Your initial tree was f hat x. You'll update it to f hat x plus lambda times f b f hat b x. Okay, where lambda is again regularization or whatever parameter you want to call, shrinking parameter. So what this does, what does it do? If you make it small, what is it going to do? इसको छोटा कर दोगे तो क्या होगा? If you make lambda to be small, what does that do? It reduces your what? We had used a term previously in regression. What was that? Lambda was called what? Yeah, alpha use किया था या lambda use किया? I think we used alpha. What was alpha? Anybody?
Hyperparameter.
Huh? No,
Hyperparameter.
it is a hyperparameter, that is correct, but what was that
Learning
called?
rate.
Learning rate. Okay, so the higher the lambda, higher will be a change in your fx. So if you make lambda small, you are reducing your learning rate. Okay, you are not allowing your changes to affect your final tree, the final output that much. Okay, so you are slowing that down. So the third point is going to be you update your residual. How do you update your residual? Residual को कैसे update करेंगे हम? Obviously my residual is going to be different, no? After I have updated my fx, my residual is going to be different. What is the residual going to be? क्या होगा? What will be my new residual?
F hat minus yi.
So Ri will be updated to what? What will be the new value of Ri? F hat x I minus
yi mod.
yeah, you can put a mod. Or if you were to write it in terms of the residual itself, can you make some change to that? If I were to write this in terms of Ri itself, Ri के terms में लिखना हो तो क्या लिखेंगे हम?
We can replace yi to ri.
So it can be written as Ri minus lambda f hat b xi. Is that okay or no? कर सकते हैं वैसा? Yeah, let me write it a little bit differently. It is going to be yi minus. Is that correct? जो मैंने पहले लिखा था वो गलत था. Because we have initially defined our residuals to be yi. Okay, if I do f at x minus yi, then obviously that is not correct because then it will not be a positive quantity. So residual If you were to write it at any point, then you can directly write it like this. But if you were to write it in terms of the previous residual, what will that be? हम कितना change कर रहे हैं उसको अपने function को? How much are we changing our function? We are changing our function by this quantity.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so residual is also going to be changed by that much. Okay, so you can write it like this. And final point, the third point is going to be what? What will the third point be? Anybody? क्या करेंगे? हमारा final step क्या होगा? After we have created all these built trees on top of each other, we are going to output our final tree or final output, which is going to be the sum of all the trees. Okay, so where is my duster? Hold on a minute. So the final output y, or what do I say, f hat x is going to be sigma small b is equal to 1 to capital B, what, lambda f hat b x. ठीक है? Is that all right? ठीक है या नहीं है? Do you agree with this or no? Means although fx will also be fx will automatically be this quantity if you follow this, because you're updating fx at each stage also. But I wanted to just mention that this is an addition of many trees. Yeah, somebody was saying something.
एवरेज लेंगे ना?
नहीं, average नहीं ले रहे हम इस केस में. Please understand that we are not building many trees with the same data set. Okay, our data set is changing at each stage. What is the new data set effectively? At each stage, after we are passing through each point. So if you think about it, what is happening here? Let us forget about this. अगर तुम इसको देखो, कहीं पर y आ रहा है? Are we looking at y at any point after the initialization? After the initialization, are we looking at y? Vaishnavi?
No, sir.
But in the previous cases, what were we doing? We were building each tree based on x and y. In this case, we are building each tree based on x and what? Kya? So we are building, in this case, we are building it based on x and kya? What is the second thing? हमारा each data, हमारा हर एक data point क्या है इस केस में? When we are building a tree here, xi and what else?
F dash x.
Nope. What are means f dash x is the final output of the model, means the model generated f dash x. But what are we fitting the data to? Fitting our model to? What data set? xi and
F dash bx.
nope. ri, the residual, isn't it? हम उसमें तो fit कर रहे हैं. Please understand that when we are fitting this tree, we are fitting it on xi and ri. Let me make a slight change in what I had previously spoken about. So when I am fitting this particular tree, this is my data set now. Okay, it is xi and ri at any particular level. Okay, once I am so first time I fit my tree. Okay, my input is xi and the output is ri. Then the next time, what do I have? What will happen to xi? Will xi be the same or it will be different? So initially when b is equal to 1, okay, I have a certain xi and I have certain ri. Okay, when I move to b is equal to 2, what is going to happen to xi?
It will remain constant.
It will remain the same. Okay, for every xi, for every I, xi will be the same. What about ri? What will ri be?
It will change
It will
depending
change.
upon.
Okay, so I had previously made a mistake. What was the mistake? When I said when I'm fitting the tree, I'm trying to minimize residuals. We are not minimizing the residuals in one sense. We are going to follow the same procedure that we had previously, which was this is the input and this is the output. Okay, we'll obviously try to minimize the mean squared error at that particular situation. Okay, so that was the mistake I made. Thank you for your, although you did not intend it that way, but I think I was able to catch my own mistake. That we are trying to minimize the MSE at that particular point. Okay, this is in this case xi is your input and ri is your output. Okay, we are not minimizing the ri's, so that was incorrect in my, I had made a mistake there. So we are minimizing MSE just like we would in a normal tree. Okay, but instead of the input and output being xi and yi, my input is xi and the output is ri. So what is going to happen when b is equal to, so xi will be whatever your previous xi was, and you have your initial ri. Okay, when b is equal to 2, what is going to happen to xi? Xi will be the same, but ri is going to be what?
Ri minus lambda.
Yeah, ri will be a new quantity. Okay, let us call this as ri1. This is going to be ri2. Okay, I can put a, so that it's not confusing. When we are at b is equal to 3, then what is going to happen to xi? It will be the same, but my residual is going to be a different quantity, which is ri. Let us call it as ri3. Is that all right? So our residuals are changing at every time. So we are fitting our data on different. When we are trying to fit a tree, we are trying to fit it on a different data set at every point. Okay, we are only trying to what? So when I have my tree built in first stage, I am obviously fitting for both x and at the output. Okay, complete output, because ri is equal to yi. But when I am moving to the next stage, what am I doing? I am only trying to fit the data between my input xi and how much of that the output was not previously explained by the previous tree. Okay, that is all. Okay, so we are incrementally building our tree instead of building many trees which are fitting on the same data set. Here the data set is changing at every stage. The input is not changing, but the output is changing at every stage, because your ri is changing at every step. Okay, we are only fitting for the residual which remains at each stage. Okay, that is all. So is that clear, Vaishnavi, or do you have a, can you repeat your question again? Because I forgot your question. What was your question? Are you there? Is anybody else there? Or all are gone?
Yes, sir, it is clear now.
You asked the question or Vaishnavi asked the question?
Sir, Vaishnavi asked the question, but sir, it is means it give more clarification.
Okay, thank you. Vaishnavi is gone. Once more. Okay. If anybody else has a doubt, I'll answer that. Otherwise, we'll move forward. Okay. So there is another hyperparameter over here. Obviously, lambda is a hyperparameter. Do you see any other hyperparameter here which we might need to consider?
B.
What?
B.
B. Capital B. Obviously, that is another hyperparameter B. Do you think by increasing B we can overfit our data? Is that a possibility?
Yes, sir.
In this case, it is, because you are incrementally building on that previous model. Okay, so if you keep on building the model to add infinity, what is going to happen? You are going to completely fit your data. Overfitting is easily possible in this particular case. So overfitting is possible. So you have to consider is possible. So that will determine. So you do not want overfitting to happen. So that will determine what B should be. Obviously, you can use. What is it? क्या बोलते हैं उसको? मैं भूल गया यार. कौन सा set? How am I forgetting that name?
Cross validation.
Yeah, cross validation. Thank you. Anyway, so you can use cross validation to find out what should be B. Do you see any other hyperparameter here?
D splits.
D. Okay, how many splits you have? Okay, in many cases, they have given an example in the book that d is chosen to be a very simple number. Okay, in many cases, d is chosen to be equal to 1. Okay, so what are we effectively doing? हम क्या कर रहे हैं? We are just dividing our data into two parts at every stage. Okay, d is chosen as 1, so they have shown an example that they did two experiments, one with d is equal to 1 and d is equal to 2, and they found that d is equal to 1 gave better results to them. Okay, so d is equal to 1 is not really that bad choice. Okay, so what are you doing? At every stage you will have just one split. Okay, at every so your tree 1 is going to look like this, tree 2 is going to look like this, tree 3 is going to look like this, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is boosting. If anybody has a question, I'll answer that, otherwise we'll move forward to a
Excuse
different
me.
topic. Vaishnavi,
Yes, sir.
you're back.
My net went.
No
I
problem.
understood this. So, just one question, like, sir, we will already get fx by this method. Why are we calculating in step 3?
No, we are not calculating. Means that's what I mentioned it previously also, that you do not need to calculate it. It is just to show that it is the sum of all the three, all the not the three, all the B trees. That's all. Okay, it is nothing. You are right that you'll already have because you are doing this updation at every stage anyway. So fx will already have that correct value. Okay, so you are right that we do not need to do this. This is just to show that. Okay,
Okay, sir.
that is the sum of all the trees. Obviously, scaled by the hyperparameter lambda, which is your learning rate. Okay. Any other questions?
So this lambda is same for all iterations.
Yes, it is. For all trees, we'll use the same lambda. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, then we'll move on to a little bit of manufacturing. Of semiconductor devices. Have you taken any other semiconductor course other than what you did in my course?
No, sir.
Okay. Somebody else was saying something.
So there was analog circuits course.
Okay, but did you have any description of the process that is means physically that they do in that course during the fabrication of a device? Did they go through the process flow?
No, they just told the circuits. And
Okay. What about my course? Did we have some of the process flow in that? How do we manufacture various parts of the IC? Means various stages?
No, sir.
Nope.
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll do a small introduction of that. Maybe today's remaining class, and then probably a little bit in the next class. So let us see what the various steps, because that will be that will make the future part of this course a little more interesting, because you know what is going on. Okay, so basically our device looks something like this. Okay, you have your metal oxide semiconductor, and then you have your source and drain. Okay, source and drain. This is p-type silicon. We are talking about an NMOS, so this is n-type silicon, and It's a little more heavily doped as compared to this substrate. Okay, and then you have your terminals on the source and drain. Okay, obviously you have a connection over here as well. Okay, now to reach this stage, okay, uh, uh, it takes about for a manufacturing plant, okay, not this stage, the complete IC which consists of millions of transistors, although almost all of the things means not that million transistors are built one by one, okay, otherwise it will take forever. Okay, so that is not how it's done. All the transistors are built at the same time. Okay, and the way it happens is that they are so you take a big silicon wafer. Okay, you have a big silicon wafer which may look something like this. Maybe it is like 300 microns thick. Okay, 0.3 millimeters thick. A silicon wafer, or maybe a little bit smaller than that, thinner than that, and then you build multiple devices on the top of that silicon. Okay, now all of these devices are built at the same time in parallel. Okay, those billions, in some cases billions, literally billions. Okay, billions of transistors are built at the same time, all of them happening simultaneously. And after you are done building these devices, this is obviously very, very thick. So what do you do? Any idea what we might do once we are done building these devices at the top? Almost all the important parts are at the top. What are you going to do for the remaining thing? क्या करेंगे हम उसका? Any idea? We are going to remove this by polishing off the back. Okay, that is what usually happens. So you remain with these thin wafers, which are depending on almost always these again contain what? So if you were to look at the top surface, okay, if you were to look at it from the top, okay, most of the times you will see. So this is, let us say, 12-inch wafer. Okay, any idea what the die size of an Intel processor is? The processor that you have in your computers, in your laptop or desktops, how big of the CPU itself, how big is it? Any idea?
Sir, I think it is 2 mm by 2 mm.
2 mm by 2 mm or 2 centimeter?
No, sir, centimeter. 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter.
Okay, let us say it is 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter, or for ease of calculation, let us say it is 1 inch. Okay, so let us, obviously the die size is, so that is the whole packaging. The actual silicon part is much smaller than that, but let us, for this particular example's sake, let us say that it is 1 inch. Okay, so what are you going to do? So if you have a 1 inch, so each of these is called as a die. Okay, each of these is called as a die. So what do you have? You have the same structure being repeated again and again. Okay, and each of these contains a billion transistors. Okay, a billion or even much more than billion. Okay, so you will have how many such dies on this wafer? Anybody wants to do a calculation? How many dies can fit? Obviously our dies are going to be of the same shape. Okay, let us say it is a square, a 1 inch square. So how many dies can fit? Any idea? Can somebody do a calculation? How many dies can fit? What is the area of this particular wafer? Come on, it's a 12-inch diameter wafer. What is the area? Pi 12 squared over 4. 450.
Sir, means 450 dies will fit over this circular. Yeah.
How did you do that calculation?
Sir, means I assume that the size of this each die, and I divided
By the from the area
Yes,
divided by area of one die.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us do that calculation. What is the area? 12 squared. Let us do 6 squared. What is 6 squared? 36.
Sir, 113.
And 3.14. So it is going to be
113.
113 squared inch. Okay, that's fine. Okay, 113 square inch. So if you were to assume that all your dies consume the whole area, what is your total number of dies that you will generate from this going to be? कितनी हो जाएंगी? We are assuming a squared inch for one die. Okay, so how many total dies will you have? How many processes can you generate from one wafer?
Sir, 113.
113. So this will result in 113 dies. Okay. Now obviously when you are manufacturing something, you are trying to deposit oxide to create this oxide. You are trying to do ion implantation. We have talked about ion implantation or no in the previous course? Ion implantation. Ion implantation. Did we do that?
Yes, sir. A brief introduction was
Yeah,
there.
that's all that is required. We just want to know the name. So you are, when you are trying to create a p-type material, then you will bombard them with boron ions. Okay, so to create a p-type material, or if you are trying to create an n-type material, then you'll bombard that particular area with n-type ions, which are like phosphorus, for example. Okay, so obviously when you're doing this, this is a huge area. Okay, 12 inch is not a small 12 inch diameter circle is not a small area. It's a huge area as far as semiconductors are concerned. Then what do you expect is going to happen? What do you expect? Do you expect some uniformity issues?
Yes,
Do you
sir.
there's going to be uniformity issues. So what do you expect is, so whenever you're trying to build something, okay, you will obviously almost always have a better control at the center, and as you move towards the edges, you're going to lose that control. Okay, because you usually build your systems around that center. Okay, so you're going to lose your control at the edges. So what happens when you try to build these IC, means such a large wafer, and try to fill up with different dies? What do you expect? Do you expect some kind of defects? Obviously there are going to be defects, because whenever you're doing something there are going to be defects, but where do you expect your defects to be higher? If there are any defects in your circuits, where do you expect them to be higher?
Sir, around the edges of the circuit.
Around the edges. Okay, so you lose some dies to defects. Okay, and it is more likely that you lose more dies to defects at the edges as compared to at the center. Okay, what else is a problem? Do you think we'll get 113 dies, assuming there are no defects possible? Okay, assuming that there are no defects possible, will you get 113 dies of a squared inch each from this particular wafer?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Somebody says yes, somebody says no. I think Yashwardhan said yes. Why do you
Yes,
say
sir.
yes?
As there is no defect, then definitely we will get 113.
No, but there was a big assumption in getting to 113. What was that? You only
Sir,
answer, Yashwardhan. No, Vivek, do not answer. Yashwardhan has to answer. Please see, look at the shapes. These are squares, and this is the total area. 113 centimeter squared is inch squared is the total area of this particular wafer. So do you think we can fit 113 squares in this particular wafer?
Not exactly 113.
Yeah, that is the point. Okay, obviously it is going to be smaller than that, because physically your 113 squares are not going to fit in a 113 squared inch area circle. Okay, it's going to be smaller than that, probably around 100, or maybe smaller than that. Okay, this is your homework exercise, everybody. Okay, please calculate the total number of dies that you can fit on. And this will be the first question of the quiz in the next class. Okay, so please prepare for it. Okay, so there are various steps. I think I used to work in Cypress Semiconductors in 2013. I think the whole process flow was like 190. Means it was not a very advanced process flow like Intel or something like that, but even a simple process flow had about 190 major steps. Okay, and every step would have like 10 or 20 small steps in those 190 major steps. Okay, so it is a very convoluted, complex process, and to build a complete wafer, they used to use an 8-inch wafer at that time. So 8-inch goes from the whole wafer, the whole process, until unless we were expediting it with the normal rate of the way the manufacturing plant used to work, it would take around 2 months to build the whole one wafer. Okay, one wafer means one set. Okay, one set consisted of 25 wafers. Okay, it would take around 2 months for us to go through one set to go through the whole process. Okay, so my point is that if after going through the 2 months, okay, your devices do not work, do you think you're going to suffer losses?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Quite severe losses. Okay, because their approximated cost after accounting for salaries and the each wafer cost Cyprus around $1,000. Okay, per wafer to build. Okay, to manufacture the whole process, it required around $1,000. Okay, so now if going through the whole step, and the cost of the wafer is not that high. Okay, cost of the wafer, let us say it is like $2 or $5, something like that. It's not that high. Okay, the wafer is not that expensive, but going through the whole process and using the various equipment material is not that expensive. The most expensive part is the equipment and human cost. Okay, that the labor that is required. Okay, that is the most expensive part of manufacturing this. So if going through the whole process, after going through this, spending this much 2 months of time and so much money on these wafers, we find out that these wafers do not work. Would you prefer that you come to know that they are not going to work 2 weeks into this, or 2 months afterwards? Which of these two would you prefer? That you come to know about that there has been some problem in a step. So I told you there are 190 major steps. If one of those major steps goes wrong in a significant manner, obviously there are some tolerances of the error that can be accepted. But if it's outside the range of tolerance that is acceptable to us, if something happens within those 190 steps at some place, let us say that the step that was 2 weeks into this process. Okay, would you prefer that you come to know about it at 2 weeks, or would you prefer that you come to know about it at 2 months?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, you would prefer that you come to know about it at 2 weeks. Okay, so so the final proof of pudding is in the eating. Final proof of the device working is how do you find that device is working? After 2 months. Okay, but even at 2 weeks, let us say that you are making the pudding, and when you are trying to prepare the batter, okay, for making the pudding, instead of sugar you added salt. Let us say you had powdered sugar and powdered salt. Obviously salt is usually powdered. Both of them were powdered and they were next to each other without labels or whatever. You put let us say 100 grams of salt. Okay, if you know any kind of cooking, 100 grams of salt is like fire. It will, if you put it in your mouth, it will feel like fire. So if you know about that, okay, let us say immediately you recognize that there was a mistake. Would you make the pudding, or would you not make the pudding? क्या करोगे विवेक?
Sir, we will not make pudding.
We will not make the pudding. So that is the point. So after every major step, after every couple of major steps, what do? We have some kind of fail-safe test. Okay, we have some kind of inline testing. Okay, so in line here stands for the assembly line or the fabrication line. You can call it whatever you want to call it. So inline testing. So during the fabrication itself, we do some kind of testing, visual inspection, or maybe some kind of electrical inspection or something like that, so that we can figure out during the process itself that there was some mistake somewhere. And one more thing. So the same equipment is being used by, so for example here we have something called as photolithography. Have we talked about photolithography at all? You know
No,
what
sir.
it is? Okay, we'll talk about it in the next class. So let us say photolithography is used maybe 20 times during the whole 192 step process. Let us say it is used 20 times. So it is very likely that if one batch is affected by some equipment failure at photolithography step, it is possible that every batch that comes after that is going to be affected by photolithography step. ठीक है ना? Do you agree or no?
Yes, sir.
अगर कुछ गड़बड़ उस इक्विपमेंट में है, if there is some mistake, some problem in the equipment itself, then every batch that goes through that equipment, maybe 100 batches go through that equipment every day, so all those 100 batches are going to be affected. So we want to recognize this problem as early as possible, because it is not only of this batch. Okay, because most likely there is going to be a problem not in the setup of the batch. It is possible that there is problem only in the setup of the batch, that is, but it is more likely that it is a problem in the equipment itself. So it is not only $1,000 that are at $1,000 per wafer. So 25 wafers, $25,000 that are at stake. It is possible that 25, let us say 100 batches go through that in one day. So 25,000 into 100 is how much? How many?
Sir, $2.5 million.
$2.5 million. Okay, that is what happened once in our fab. We lost like $1 million because there was a small mistake in one equipment. So, so that is so it is a major issue. You want to recognize these defects as early as possible. Okay, there is a malfunction or something like that. You want to recognize, because that costs a lot of money, and also you also lose customers, because if you are, let us say, building something for a customer and he sees that every time you make some delay because of whatever reason, it takes 2 months to build it. Once you have the design, everything ready, the process is completely ready, still it takes 2 months. So you want do not want these things to happen. Okay, so you want to recognize the problem early and solve it. If anybody has a question, I'll answer that. Otherwise, we'll continue with this on Wednesday.
Sir, I have a question that in 1 square inch of area, they are fitting around 100 billions of transistors. So, sir, is there any physical cost or is there any laser which they are using to build this 5 nanometer or 8 nanometer transistor into this wafer? Sir, because physical, because sir, I think they have to cut some cast into this wafer. So how are they using? Means they are using any light or laser or something like that?
Yeah, they use light and probably a laser as well. But let us, if that is part of photolithography, I'll talk about that in the next class. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it is light. But the problem is not that using light. But please understand that if you have heard of diffraction, which I know you have, if you see that if your slit is of the order of the wavelength of light, then what happens? Let us say you are doing a slit experiment. What happens when the slit itself is of the order of the wavelength of the light? What happens in that case? क्या देखते हो विवेक?
सर वहाँ पे कुछ क्वांटम प्रोसेस मतलब सर
अगर मान लो हमने लाइट यहाँ से डाली और यहाँ पर एक स्लिट है. Okay, there is a single slit. What happens in that case? If that slit is of the order of the wavelength of the light or smaller than that, क्या हो जाता है यहाँ पर? Diffraction.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है ना? That is the biggest issue, because the what is the wavelength of light?
Sir, calculate करना पड़ेगा.
Of blue light. What is the wavelength of blue light? Any idea? No idea? So visible is from 400 to around 780
495
nanometers. Okay, around 400 is blue. Okay, 400 is almost ultraviolet to 780, which is red or even starting on infrared. Okay, so if you think about it is actually a big wonder that they are able to do this. Even now they are using light to create those small features. So if you think about it, what is 5 nanometers compared to this 400 nanometers? It's minute. Okay, but still we are able to use light quite significantly to in spite of all the diffraction limitations to create these patterns. Okay, light is used, but the wonder is not that using light, but wonder is that we are still able to use light which is significantly of a higher wavelength as compared to the features that we are creating. Okay, we do not use visible light. I'm just giving you an example. We use UV light, which is of the order of maybe 200 microns, 200 nanometers, sorry. Okay, we do not use visible light. We use UV. Okay, but still 200 is what? Much larger than 5 nanometers. Okay, so that is the biggest wonder. Okay, so we'll talk about that in the next class. Any other questions? Okay, then we'll stop. Goodbye. See you on Wednesday.